Hello everyone, and welcome to our first ever visit to Grand Bend Motorplex. I'm your series announcer, Frank Wood. This national race is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Motovan, Honda, Magneti Marelli, offered by Mopar, and Dunlop.
Thanks, Frank, and we're looking at a very full grid here in our first ever visit to Grand Bend Motorplex, and a number of riders who haven't been with the tour before. Of course, Kazaz won our opening round, his first ever victory in the series, and here the field is about to head away for that one warm-up lap. Interesting situation here. They actually go briefly counter race and then start into the most interesting part and technical part of this track, really tight and demanding, and of course well suited to these 600 bikes.
This starting procedure that we're using at Grand Bend Motorplex here, Colin, reminds me very much of Castrol Raceway in Edmonton. We did a similar thing with our starting procedure there.
Well, trying to figure out the most effective way to launch the motorcycles, and that's always a challenge because sometimes technical part of the track, tight section, is not where you want to feed the guys at first. You want some open stuff to spread them out so there's less chance of an incident. As we look at the grid here, we're now at the front, and it's really important to talk about Frank Trombino. Almost 3 years since we've seen him. He's back in the series, both in the sport bike class on a Honda 600 and on a Honda 1000 in our Pro Feature Superbike class. And Trombino has been one of the revelations of our trip here to Grand Bend. There's been several riders who've shown very well, who are local to the Grand Bend scene with a SOAR group. And Frank has, of course, been a big player on the national scene over the years, but not in the last few. But ironically, the last time he raced a national, he won in the rain at Mosport.
That's right.
Now we're heading onto the front straight, and that's the finish line, but of course not the start line because we've split the grid up here. Field's going slow into this technical section, and then they're going to get waved onto another part of the track they do not normally use, and this is a section that's pretty straight that offers the best chance to a good clean start. There you can see one of the officials turning the grid around, and you'll see in just a second they come to this center joiner area on this ex-airfield from World War II, a bomber training place. Good shot of Stacy Nesbitt on her Honda there as everybody's picking up their spots on the grid and be under starter's order very shortly.
Well, Frank Trombino was fast qualifier, so of course he will start from pole position, recording a lap time in the low 105s. Several other riders were able to get into the 105 range, but Trombino's time was best by far, so he will take pole position and line up alongside him. On the front row is Tommy Kazas and David McKay.
Kazaz shaking off a crash yesterday. They've had some trouble getting that bike back together, so a bit of a thrash for those guys. And of course McKay, who very new to our tour, but very fast here so far this weekend. Well, we got a problem on the grid. You see one of the officials coming in. Frank has a question. Interesting to note that Frank has actually chosen to take the normal pole. Back in the old days, he would almost always flop to the other side, which is the prerogative of the pole guy. No one else gets to do that. But Frank is actually lined up where we thought pole would be, which is the outside going into the first set of S's. Again, they're on a part of the track we don't use except for the start.
Field now watching the rider's choice starting lights. As in all races, the lights go off, the race launches, and it looks like a very good start for Tommy Kazas indeed on the Parts Canada sponsored Yamaha Canada supported R6. Kazas takes the race lead and leads the field in through the S's there. I think we got Trombino sitting in behind him, and now we are on board with Christopher Garvey on the Kawasaki. Looking back from Tommy Kazas' bike now at the Warlord, Frank Trombino. You can see Garvey there, and now here comes David McKay. He has made a move on Garvey and moved into third spot. This is one of our pro rookies, so a good ride happening here.
Great on board with our drift cameras here, and I don't know if you caught that. Rafa had just a bit of a moment going into that first sweeper, and that looked like it opened up the field. So
Trombino on the move. The Warlord has taken the point. Trombino very early in this race jumps into the lead. Of course, fast qualifier. We knew he had the speed to get the job done. He's on board that ProStar Honda White Gold Financial Services sponsoring the Warlord, and now Kazas will go to work. So here we have one of our wily veterans, of course, and one of our young guns, Tommy Kazas.
I think it's important. Frank has a lot of time on this track.
Down goes Jacob Shaw O'Leary. Jacob Shaw O'Leary has suffered a crash there. That's the number 210 bike, the fast boy out of Falmouth, Nova Scotia.
one of our
crashed
rookie
out,
pros.
and we've gone red.
Yeah, so there's a delay there, and what happened there was Shaw O'Leary was coming onto the front straight. That's a very fast dog-leg left-hander just before the finish line, and there has been some drama there. Historically, that can be a tricky section. Now we're back on board with Kazaz as we follow Trombino. What I wanted to tell you was, of course, that Trombino is completely unknown to Thomas since he's turned pro after Trombino left the series.
Very good point.
Ready for our second crack at the start. Hopefully things go a little smoother, and we'll keep you appraised about Shaw O'Leary, who I believe has done some damage to one of his hands.
Well, just before Jacob's crash, of course, we saw Tommy Casas. There they go. They're off again. This time it looks like Christopher Garvey has the nod on it. No, it's Tommy Casas again. David McKay side by side with him. And indeed, McKay has taken the race lead. A pro rookie here, Colin, in the race lead of his pro sport bike debut. Actually, he debuted at Shanville Motorsport Park, so this will be his second ride in the pro ranks, but he is quickly disposed of, as you saw, coming onto the pack straightaway. Both Casas and Trombino were able to better him. They were looking back at him just then.
Nice move on the brakes there. First time into the carousel, wondering how warm the tires are. Look at Trombino looking on the outside of McKay. Man, Trombino, it's good to see him working those different lines. And look at that. He swings one way and then the other. He's after the lead again.
Took the inside line close to the grass and came out of that corner very close to the outside indeed. And Casas leading this motorcycle race on that number 46 bike. Frank Trombino, of course, right in behind him just now.
Great on board here from the drift
Trombino
camera. Look
inside.
at that.
Trombino to the inside, and the Warlord has taken the lead.
And
now
he seems to know something about these lines. The other guys just can't do it. They're on one line, and Frank is improvising, and he's not losing any time with these different choices. Let's go into the slow-mo here. You can see Trombino. He's got Kazaz lined up early. It isn't that Tommy was slow, just Frank chose to do something different. This onboard, showing the front fender of the Honda and the Dunlop slick tire, really shows you that he just ducked under and he could get on the throttle, and you know, it doesn't look like you should be able to make that big a difference in that tight a turn.
Perfectly timed. Trombino hasn't lost not a bit of his skills in his hiatus away from the Mopar CSBK racing. Of course, in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike class, he has taken the lead now on that white gold financial supported ProStar Honda CBR 600RR.
You can see Frank drifting it. He's famous for backing it in, and he's not doing it as much as he used to. Now Frank's 44.
Look at this footage from Casas looking back at David McKay as he's looking around, lining himself up for the next corner. Of course, the riders tend to look well in advance of where they're going. We're having a good look at Trombino there, and now we're on board with Tommy Casas once more on the Yamaha Canada supported R6, looking back on board now with Christopher Garvey having a look at the back end of David McKay.
And Garvey joined the series very last minute at Shannonville. That's a Kawasaki built out of parts from the old factory team. A really impressive bike. Fast, and definitely the chassis works very well here at Grand Bend. Good to have Garvey back. It's interesting, two Kawasaki's in this battle for the lead. Look at the power of that X-Works engine.
Swings past and passes McKay. He just about drags Mitch Card along. Mitch Card in the number 12
Not
Yamaha
just
now
about.
has gotten past McKay, and he has made the pass. McKay attempts a return on the pass, but it didn't happen this time.
Well, I think what happened there is Card just slightly altered his line, and it was almost an incident there with McKay.
It was enough to stall him up.
It really shows you, this track is tight, and it is so hard to make time. And more than that, when you're so close together in these technical low-speed sections, you feel like you're so close. It just takes a little to make that move, but it's harder than it looks unless you're Frank Trombino.
Speaking of Frank Trombino, he's starting to get small in the eyes of Tommy Casas. He's established a little bit of a lead here, and Casas running in second spot. He has Mitch Card right in behind him, and we're looking back at Mitch Card from Tommy Casas' bike.
Well, Casas, in an unusual situation for him in his career. It's the start of his third pro season, really looking to do big things for Yamaha. He is the points leader, and that's a different kind of pressure. He is not playing catch-up, not trying to establish his reputation. He's trying to win a title, and we're watching Card there, working on that Kawasaki at Garvey, and Card's trying to win a title here. He won twice last year at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and this battle we see right now between Kazaz and Card, that's what everybody's been waiting to see, these two guys.
Absolutely. And Casas, of course, scoring a win at the round one at Shannonville Motorsport Park just 2 weeks ago. Mitch Card has moved past Tommy Casas now and moves into second spot in behind Trombino. So look at these four riders stacked up here. Mitch Card, Tommy Casas, Christopher Garvey, and then David McKay, 4 of them stacked
So let's
up.
watch here. This is sheer determination. There is not much room. The door is not open, and he just opts to come. He had a rough day yesterday. He had a tough time at Shannonville, but Card is a very determined rider, and I like the impatience, and I think Card, you can see him running a little bit wide there onto the backstretch. I think Card is annoyed about Trombino getting clear. In his mind, he was going to win this thing.
Yeah, I think he had that in mind as well. We're looking back from Tommy Casas at Christopher Garvey, and Frank Trombino, of course, has established quite a gap early in this race, Colin. Mitch Card holding off Tommy Casas, and the battle obviously is for second spot right now, and it involves 4 great riders.
On board with Garvey, and his bike is working well, but he just seems maybe a little more careful than the others. Of course, it's fairly early in the race, but we are anticipating lots of events to occur. Red flags are certainly likely. We've had one already, so you don't want to wait too long. Of course, the other unknown here, we've never raced here before. This is the first pro national race ever we're watching right now. We don't know about tire wear, so you don't know what the best strategy is.
True enough, but the local riders, Mitch Card would definitely be included in that, as would David McKay. Both of those riders are quite active in the SOAR organization that runs regularly at this racetrack, but there are different configurations, of course, and in this configuration, once our pros got onto it and started circulating the lap record that was here, quickly dropped.
Trombino pulling a little bit inside as if he's breaking the draft, which certainly isn't an issue. And worth mentioning too, Will Hornblower, who's been a star in the national tour, a star here at this track, not in the race, and that's definitely good news for people like Kazaz and Card, because Hornblower would be part of this almost for sure.
No question about it. Hornblower actually winning the SOAR #1 plate last year after Scott Rupert, who has been dominant down here, was injured at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Working lap 6 now, as Mitch Card continues to hold that second position. And Trombino, of course, just went past our camera there. He's completely out of the picture. The race is truly amongst these 4 riders, Colin. We have 2 Kawasaki's and 2 Yamahas.
And I felt like Card was going to break clear for second and leave the battle for third. I like it that Tommy's gone after him. And again, I think Garvey's going to get rolling when we get to halfway. I feel like he's got a little in the tank right now, maybe just waiting to see what these guys are doing. However, it is so great to watch the onboard here and see these guys are, I mean, they're not leading. Trombino is ahead, but it's not like they're taking it easy. And of course, McKay is second really event with us and showing very well at the front of the pack.
And let's remember also, Tommy Casas still has that inner fire in him after winning his first pro Liqui Moly pro sport bike race at Shannonville just 2 weeks ago. And Christopher Garvey, ironically, at that same event was fast qualifier, and
now
he's sitting right in behind
Garvey. As we flip it onto the front straight, right? There's the finish line coming up, and this is going to be an important part of the lap here, is coming up with your plan on the last lap for that section of track. And there's a bit of a history in regional racing of close finishes and finishes on the grass here, and these guys are well aware of that, and 4 guys going for the podium, 2 spots. It could get dramatic.
That series of corners they just went through, we were referring on the PA in the race as being the dog's leg, and it happens right in front of the grandstands. A great area of viewing for the fans there. We have got a ton of fans who have come out for this very first event here at the Grand Bend Motorplex.
Well, and we have the technical section, which is quite slow right in front of the grandstand, then a fairly fast S, another slower S, this fairly fast corner on the back straight. This part slightly reminiscent of Shannonville. Very long straightaway. We picked this configuration because we wanted to look at Garvey.
On the move on Casas, pulls up alongside him perfectly side by side there for a moment. Garvey wisely backs off a bit, and I believe he let Casas take that line away as they go through the carousel.
Well, and Tommy cut down. I think he knew Garvey was there and was saying it's going to be harder than that. I'm not leaving that door open, and that's perfectly fair. And Card continues to lead. Casas hasn't had a crack at him lately, but that's coming for sure. Oh, look there, we got a shuffle.
There went Trombino, of course, and indeed Card is leading, but he's leading the 4-rider race for second spot. Trombino is completely out of the picture now. Looking back from Tommy Casas at McKay on the 82 machine.
And McKay made that move around Garvey, so I was waiting for Garvey to go, and I got that one wrong too.
Yeah, you would have thought he'd respond on that one, because he was kind of lackadaisical, shall we say, in terms of letting Tommy Casas by. And I thought he had done that on purpose, quite frankly, just to make sure that he didn't get his front wheel taken away from him. But it seems as though Garvey perhaps has gone a little bit off pace from the 3 riders in front of him.
Well, you want to think that McKay, who at times was the fastest guy in the track in practice and qualifying, Yeah, he was up front initially. Maybe he wants his crack leading this thing. And of course, young guys get impatient, and that's part of what makes racing exciting. And Cart is doing a good job of pulling these guys through. Got a good look backwards through that difficult kink as we head into that technical, much slower section, and these turns are all glued together, one links the other. A small mistake in one is manifested, magnified as you move along, so you have to be almost inch perfect in your choices unless you're Frank Trombino.
I have to put an asterisk, though, beside David McKay on this one. He is the pro rookie. He is the rookie in this race. This is only his second ride as a professional rider in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike class, and Colin, he is doing a splendid job keeping up with the finest.
Well, I think this is what we want to see. This is a great race. These bikes are close. We have no idea how this will play out, what the strengths really are. It's early in the season, but what you want to see are the young guys getting some attention, and you want to see them marching to the front and getting the opportunities.
Onto the back straightaway once more. Christopher Garvey tucked down onto the gas tank, right in behind Tommy Casas. Will he pull out this time and attempt to pass? It looks like he's going to give a go. Nope. He's going to fall in behind Casas and follow him through here. You can see Mitch Carr just ahead of Tommy Casas there. So we got two Yamahas fighting for a second spot, if you will, and two Kawasaki's following right now.
And Casas is very good on the brakes there, coming into the carousel off that long back straight. He's making it tough for Garvey. He's not giving him much to bite on, and that's the mark of a rider with good skills and good racecraft. But the trick is to keep the pace up, and they're starting to get slightly scrubbed off from Casas in second.
Yeah, several times Garvey has had a look both inside and outside. Now McKay is on the move. McKay, a beautiful move on Christopher Garvey, and he tucks into third spot in this particular race. But of course, keeping in mind the Warlord Trombino is still in the lead on his Honda.
I gotta think McKay is worried. Card is slightly pulling away, and there's now three guys racing for one podium spot, and Card is looking a little more secure in this race, in this class, in the middleweight division. That's a decent lead. Of course, Trombino is a mile ahead for this class.
Here comes Garvey. Beautiful move on McKay. He has made the pass, so that's a return pass, a return favor from what we saw just less than a half lap ago.
And now we need Garvey to fire it up, right? He's been a little bit careful. He led half the race at Shannonville in our opener, so now I think the fun is beginning. Oh, okay, 2 laps to go, Frank.
Two laps to go. Why. McKay comes up and passes Garvey. Oh, no! No, there's been a collision. McKay has crashed into Garvey, and both riders. Garvey is up. McKay is not.
So let's watch the slow motion, and not evident. Okay, so McKay's going under. This is a very brave move, and he just can't quite make it work. And actually, they both almost made it. They're fumbling around, and this could have taken Kazaz with them. And right here, you can see McKay realizes he's going to hit Kazaz, bails out of it, and for a split second, right here, I thought they were both going to make it, and it was kind of a mix-up with the line, and really not a horrible mistake, just a bit of a misjudgment and a shuffle.
Tough break for Garvey, though. Garvey almost like an innocent bystander in that regard, as he got taken right out of it.
Back on board with Frank Trombino, and this is what it looks like to have nothing but clear track in front of you in a national road race, waving yellow flag there. 1 lap to go. That's your Warlord, and look at that little bit of sideways sliding action, working the slipper clutch on that Honda, and that is not a brand new motorcycle, but it works very, very well around here, and just spectacular to see Frank doing what he's done over the years. He hasn't won too many middleweight races, but in our series, he's won races in pretty much every class we've ever offered.
Yeah, and he often wins when least expected. You'll remember his ride at Mosport, of course, in the rain.
Frank Trombino.
Yeah, absolutely. And Colin, some of those shots were showing the grandstands in the background of our dog leg there on the front straightaway, and as you could see, that grandstand was packed. We had a great turnout in fans today, and Trombino looks like he's got it on cruise control now. We'll jump on board once more and take a run down this runway, this back straightaway. You touched on the fact that this used to be an airfield back in World War II, a training ground for the bomber pilots, and that runway still in active use, actually, not on race days, of course. In through the carousel goes Trombino, his last trip through that section of the track, and he coming up on a slower rider. Of course, that will not factor into this at all. The checkered flag is out, and Frank Trombino has taken win in round 2 here.
There is our winner, Frank Trombino, and it was a very solid effort by a man who really has nothing to prove. Almost shocking that he's back in the series seriously in his 40s. He wasn't at our opener, but man, he has played a big role in both this sport bike race, which he has just won for Liqui Moly, and also pretty impressive in this Superbike too. So there's Trombino our winner. Mitch Card works his way up to a solid second. Kazaz survives that race for third. Bauer works it up to fourth, and that's a very impressive effort there.
Yeah.
And Rafa recovers for fifth. Meanwhile, Fantin, Coelho, Brent Strong, Kellen Hodgins, and Jean-Marc Bilger, a rookie pro and one of our top amateurs last season, in a race with a fair amount of attrition and a good solid field in Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike.
Well, we'll start off with Tommy Casas as he gets a congratulatory handshake from Frank Trombino. Tommy, what can I say? What a race.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it was unfortunate that we had that red flag at the beginning, but, you know, Frank, it's good to have Frank back. He rode an awesome race, so did Mitch, and it was, you know, it's hot out there, and this track's very tight. Near the last few laps, I was losing feeling on my arms on the braking, but you know, we got some points and we're moving forward, which is good.
Mitch Card, you heard the ovation when they announced your name. You put on a heck of a race. You scared the bleep out of me several times.
Yeah, you know, what can I say? I wasn't going as fast as I wanted to the past few days, but today I put my head down and I really got a nice start again, and I was able to launch those Dunlop slicks way out in front, so I was able to maneuver my way slowly into the second position and just keep it steady, and they stuck through the whole way, so I wasn't worried at all by the end, and it felt amazing.
Frank Trombino, welcome home.
Home, it's a little different than home, but I'm glad to be back for sure. You know, it was a close, good race. You know, Tommy's going good, you know, and Mitch is going really good, so you don't want to get out in front, but just show him some lines. You might have had the edge because you need all you can get when you get this much, a little bit older. But anyways, it worked out, and I just have to really thank my crew for making this happen. And the fans, I know it's hot today. Thank you so much for coming out to watch the show. That's the most important thing, making you guys happy.
Boy, did they ever make us happy. Ladies and gentlemen, your podium. The trophies are in the air. The Liqui Moly hats are on. Your top three, Tommy Casas on the Yamaha. Mitch Card, also Yamaha mounted. And Honda mounted race winner, Frank Trombino.
Are you concerned it's going to be a boring season in Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike? Well, don't you worry. Kazaz and Card are shaping up for a great battle, and Garvey could definitely be part of it. Rafa, another good round. Well in play heading to his home race at Autodrome Saint Eustache in a week and a half. Trombino vaulting up to fifth after just one round out of two that he's participated on. Coelho last year second. This time he's on a borrowed Yamaha. Still doing pretty well. Chris Brent was sick this weekend, so a poor result for him, but he will be back and looking for rookie pro honors.
So that wraps it up from Grand Bend Motorplex. We're headed for Saint Eustache, Quebec for our next stop on the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Tour. On behalf of the entire CSBK crew, thanks for watching. See you next time.